From the Aero Sports Tennessee home office along the banks of the Stones River in the heart of Rutherford County, this is the Coach Will KRIESKY Show, a weekly showcase of highlights, interviews, and insights from Riverdale head football coach Will KRIESKY. Now here's your host and play-by-play voice of the Warriors, Chris Bozen.
First and 10, Warriors at the Riverdale 20-yard line at the 8:01 mark. Here the first quarter, we're scoreless. Second offensive possession of the night for Riverdale. Vaughn takes it, breaks through tacklers. Vaughn across the 30, 35, 40. He may be gone. You won't catch Jacob Vaughn to the house. No flags down. Jacob Vaughn on the right side of that offensive line, and Riverdale, for the first time in 2025, breaks into the end zone on an 80-yard scamper by Jacob Vaughn with 7:47 to go in the opening quarter. Warriors 6. Father Ryan 0. Your point after is pending. Ethan, that's a heck of a run. It looked like they had him bottled up, but he broke free.
Absolutely. He was able to just hold on just long enough for a gap to open up, and then he shoots right through there. Speed kills, and it showed there.
The kick is up. It is good. That's out of the hold of Jake Rolling, and the snap of Cooper Dees. Miles Weaver, the kicker, hits the extra point. All right, welcome in to episode 5 of the Coach Will KRIESKY Show. That is our offensive play of the game from Friday night's big victory over Father Ryan, 35-0 in that game, Coach. Your offense puts points on the board. The defense gets its first shutout of the year. Special teams plays incredibly well, going perfect on the PAT attempts. A lot of good things, a lot of things to like Friday night.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things. You know, the kids played really hard, and that's what I really bragged on in our meetings on Sunday is how fast they played and how physical they were. You know, I thought the kids flew around and played fast. And, you know, I think our physicality helped us on Friday. And like we just saw in that run, you know, Jacob didn't stop. You know, he kept his feet churning and kept running. You know, it was just his own play, and he hit it and got hit the line of scrimmage and was able to, you know, being a young back, I was impressed with him keeping his feet moving and bouncing outside and then taking the 80 for a touchdown. But those are the type of things that Jacob can do for us. Jacob's a special kid, but he's a young kid. So it's going to take us some time. But I think he's going to get better. And if he keeps improving each week, like he did from week 1 to week 2, he'll be okay.
A couple things to point out from that highlight that we saw there. You had a revamped offensive line. I think 3 guys in some new positions. And we want to talk a little bit about them. But the other part, and the reason that I left the extra point attempt on there, Jake Rolling last week earned your coaching staff, special teams, you know, player of that game, in part because of the way he's able to deal with some snaps that maybe otherwise wouldn't get down. And he did a good job on that very first one of the ball game to get that snap in place. And Miles did a good job holding up, and then he just kind of had to kick it up, still got it through.
Yeah, you know, Jake did a great job. You know, that ball was hit the ground and Miles stopped. And, you know, I thought both of them, you know, did a great job executing. You know, even when the situation was bad, they both were able to finish it. And that was key for us.
The offensive line, we talked at the end of last week's show a little bit about LeBrian Shelbourne, and he was going in for some medical advice. I know you've got an update on him, but in terms of how you had to deal with Friday night's game, it meant some moving around. Dakari King remained at center. Avante Morrison remained at right guard. You moved Eli Clark over to left tackle, I believe. Darian Adams was in at left guard at the start of the game, and E.J. Olguin was over at right tackle. That's a lot of change from game 1 to game 2 for the offensive line, but it looked like they came in ready to go, Coach.
Yeah, you know, we have quite a few guys that can play up front, and they keep rotating, and Hayden Love is still involved in the mix and still rotating, and all those guys are moving, and Eli's smart enough and been with us long enough where he can play multiple spots. He can play on the right side, he can play left side, he can play right tackle, he can play left tackle, he can play right guard, left guard, and that's Eli, just the type of ability he has, and him being a senior and being with us for 4 years and understanding our philosophy and things we do offensively.
As we get into these highlights from the ball game, just in general, your thoughts, you know, going into this game, I had seen Slater, the running back, a year ago. He's a talented running back. They've got a tight end who does a pretty good job catching the football. And that quarterback, although he's young, he's got some skills which he put on display on that scramble in the end zone to avoid a safety. You had to be pleased with the way the defense played.
Yeah, the defense played really well, and I was impressed. I thought they got after it. I was really impressed with our front seven. I thought they played well Friday night. We got to have that each week from them. They can't have it take any weeks off, and they have to play like that, fast and physical at all times. This week we got a tough battle up front, and that's going to be a lot tougher for them. So they're going to have to play. They're going to have to even step up and play more physical and fast this week. That quarterback for Father Ryan, he's really good. He's going to be a special player as he gets older. He made some really good plays. Was able to scramble around and find some receivers. Fortunate for us, I kind of felt their pain because it would hit their receivers in the hand, and they dropped some. And they dropped some key balls in critical situations. But yes, he did a great job being able to manage the game and being able to run that offense. And you'll see him improve each week and their offense improve each week. Also, you're going to see that kid from year to year. He's going to be a name that everybody's going to be talking about for a while.
And the drop footballs, I have to believe that the hard-hitting defense has something to do with that. I mean, Jeremy Thompson put on one of the hits of the year. I mean, I think he was on the top of the hit stick list there on you guys' stats. I mean, he laid into Slater and got him cleanly, but it was a big hit.
It was Jeremy's another sophomore that's having to play for us right now, and he's doing really well for us. He's flying around and being physical. I didn't know if he's going to be ready by this point to be a starter, and he's done some really good things for us. Jeremy's a kid that, last year he was on the freshman team but wasn't on the freshman team. I made him practice with us Monday through Thursday last year with the varsity. I treated him like a varsity player last year because I felt like due to some graduation spots that we would need him early, and we didn't have time to wait for him to be ready by week 5 as a sophomore. We needed him to be ready at week 1. So he had a really tough year as a freshman. He didn't get to play in a whole lot of freshman games, and he didn't get to play much on Friday nights. But he never wavered. He just trusted the process and trusted what the coaches were telling him. And he came and he was pretty much a practice player all last year, but he never complained, and he was fine with it. And I told him if he did what we said, he was going to have a good sophomore year. And so far from week 1 to week 2, he is getting better. We still got to fix some young mistakes, and that's just experience and not playing. But I have been proud of his effort and his attitude and just how he's flying around right now.
We've got a lot to get to this week, a lot of highlights, and then, of course, we want to preview Friday night's game against Blackman. So let's jump in. After you got on the board 7-0, you come back on a subsequent drive. You face a 3rd and 14 at the 50-yard line after a delay of game penalty. And Riley Talley, your transfer from Rockville, who was there a year ago, goes up and makes a very, very nice play to extend the drive.
Yeah, he did a really good job. He catches the ball really well, and him and Gavin are getting comfortable and learning each other and still working to improve things. But the one thing Riley will do is go up and catch the ball.
For the first down, it's Riley Talley. The 5'11", 190-pound senior went up and got it. Hampton just did get rid of it as he was feeling the pressure from DeAntoine Malone.
That's a great throw by Hampton, putting it in a spot where only Talley can get to it. He's got to leave the ground in order to reach it, but that's in a spot where no defender can get to it. That is a great play on 3rd and long.
But right there, he felt the pocket presence, was able to step up and make a throw, and it wasn't a perfect throw, but Riley was it was in between 2 defenders, and Riley was able to go up and make a play, and that's what you have to do. Sometimes the receivers need to make great plays, sometimes the quarterbacks have to make great throws, and when you got guys like that throwing to each other, anything can happen at any time.
And that's growth, I think, from game 1, Coach, where we saw some balls get dropped, some balls maybe go off fingertips and just be a little bit away. This game, I saw receivers and everybody giving a little bit of extra effort to make the play.
Yeah, they were, and I think it was just due to the concentration we had last week. I think, our guys really harped on each other and about little things, and I talked to these guys about doing the little things the right way and finding a way. As you see on my shirt, that's our motto for the season, been our motto all off season. Find a way to do the little things, find a way to do things the right way. And they were find a way to be attention to the detail, and I think that really helped us last week. One, eliminated penalties that we had from week 1, and we also eliminated drop balls from week 1. And we have to do that every week to keep improving. We're only as good at we can't self-destruct. And I felt like we self-destructed at times last week, and it caused us some issues. But this week we did a better job of minimizing those types of mistakes.
A 10-play, 64-yard drive is capped as Hampton finds Reynolds for a touchdown.
And Hampton with 3 wides to the right, 1 to the left. Takes the snap, looks right, has his man, Corbin Reynolds, and he goes right into the end zone after catching it at about the 2-yard line on that post route. He was wide open. Hampton put it right on him, and Reynolds took it untouched into the end zone. Riverdale now in front, 13-0 with 1:39 to go in the opening quarter. Reynolds from 7 yards out. Extra point is on the way.
And the offense starting to click here. They're getting into a rhythm. Everything's working well.
And each time Father Ryan tried to get something going offensively, it seemed like you had a different guy on defense step up to make a big play. Our next highlight comes from one of those defenders, and that's Caleb Woods.
Sun setting to the west. Father Ryan moving left to right. Dixon with the back on his right hip. Fakes it to him. He's under pressure, and he's dropped. Dropped in the backfield, in on the sack this time for Riverdale is Caleb Woods, the 6'2" senior D lineman, and Woods just swallowed up Dixon for the big loss.
You saw Caleb right there. You know, first of all, he did a great job coming off the ball. As soon as he saw the ball move, he took off. He did a great. His start was unbelievable right there, and then he was able to use his hands and get it on that tackle. Once he got his hands on that tackle, he was able to control him and push him out of the way to be able to take that inside step to the quarterback. Caleb had an exceptional game. He was, the coaches had a tough time on the defensive side deciding the player of the game. And, there was 4 guys that they were all their position coaches were arguing for them, pushing for them. And it was tough when you have games like that. And that's why I told the kids yesterday in meetings, when you have your position coaches fighting for you and there's 4 guys, 5 guys that they're talking about, that means we play pretty well.
Yeah, and Coach, we offensively, defensive, special teams, when you start getting that competition level among your team, among players that want to get those accolades, that want to play better, that elevates everyone, and now you got something special going.
Yeah, and they're all fighting, for their spot, one, and then, nobody ever feels comfortable around it because we got good depth to have good people come in behind them, and then also, they're all playing for something greater, and they a lot of them want to play at the next level, and they know that they got to, coaches are watching, so you got to give effort day in and day out. You got to give effort at every rep, and so that's what I was impressed with those guys. Do we still have a lot of work to do? Yes. Do we need to get a lot better? Yes. But it was a good start for us, and I was very proud of our guys.
That's how the first quarter ended, and then we started off the second quarter with what became our special teams play of the game on the broadcast, and that was with your punt unit coming out. I did not get his name on the broadcast because where he was, I couldn't see who blocked it, but I believe it's Guile Lara who gets in and gets a hand on the football here. We're going to take a look at this highlight and then talk about it.
Hagee will have to punt now from his end zone. Hagee pulls it down, just gets away. It's a low kick. It may have been partially blocked, and it goes out of bounds. Riverdale may have gotten a hand in on that football. There was pressure up front. It looks like Aiden Emmons is one of the men coming across that had pressure in there, and Elijah Reams as well. That was Hagee's worst punt of the night. Riverdale will start in very good field position, their best of the evening.
And it was Guile Lara. My apologies to him. I created the pronunciation guide on the roster, and yet I got it wrong during the game, and he gave me a reminder. My apologies, Guile. I will get it correct the rest of the way.
Yeah, he did a good job. He was the coach's vote for special teams player of the week, and he did a great job, man. He flew around, and it wasn't just that play. He made numerous plays all night. They called him for roughing the punter one time, but I'll argue that all day long. The trajectory of the ball, way it came off, he had to put his hand on it and touch it. But again, we all make mistakes, and I talked to White Hat Tony Lee. And he did a good job, and he couldn't tell. But I was really impressed with how he played, and I stressed that again in our meetings. We got guys, Gael. With the way he's playing now, he's getting a chance to, get some reps on defense because he's flying around. And that's why I tell him all the time, if you want to get noticed, the first place to get noticed on special teams. And if you get noticed on special teams, you'll start getting your chance on the offensive and defensive side of the ball.
As we move ahead in the ball game, Gavin Hampton finds Corbin Reynolds once again for another connection.
Now with 3 receivers right, 1 to the left. And Vaughn on his left side wants to throw, looks right. It's knocked up in the air. Reynolds sticks with it and pulls it in spite of the coverage this time from Patrick Breen. Reynolds just stuck with it, his strength, his hands, and it's a completion. It puts another first down on the board for the Warriors.
Great coordination, great focus to be able to haul that ball back in and pick up a first down. They're now much closer to putting up another touchdown on the board.
Yeah, his concentration is unbelievable in the way he stayed focused, and Corbin does a good job trying to get open, but then just how he finishes plays. He has that winner attitude. Not many people probably know, but he was on a state championship basketball team last year that went 35-0, and he's been the point guard for that. He was the point guard for that school for the last 3 years, and they as him as the point guard, they never lost more than 10 games. Uh, so he's just a winner. He has that winner attitude, that winner mentality, and just the work ethic. Whatever he chooses to do in life, he's going to be successful.
Yeah, and I mean, he's having great games, and it looks like he's really, like you said last week, really leading, even as a newcomer to the school there, as a senior, leading that wide receiver group.
Yeah, he is. He does a good job. He doesn't say a whole lot, but he just leads by example and how he practices and how he prepares each day and every week.
Jacob Vaughn was the beneficiary of the continuation of that drive as he took it in from 3 yards out.
This time he'll hand it off. Vaughn behind that offensive line. Vaughn into the end zone for his second touchdown of the night. This one a much shorter variety, but it's still worth 6 points as Jacob Vaughn takes it in from 3 yards out with 7:17 to go in the first half. Riverdale in front 20-0.
Yeah, those guys did a good job up front, and Jaden Jones was our yo right there, and he did a great job leading for Vaughn, and those guys did a great job getting that push up front for Vaughn to be able to get a chance to get in the end zone.
Later on, we get another big play from Aiden Emmons, and he comes up with a sack on another one of those drives where Father Ryan's trying to get some momentum, but he takes it away with this defensive play.
Caden Dixon from the gun. 2 receivers left, looking left. He's under pressure. He'll be dropped back at the 20-yard line as the heat came from Aiden Emmons. And Aiden Emmons, the senior, he was a captain a week ago. He was our defensive play of the game as he hauled in that interception, led the team in tackles a week ago. And they'll stop the forward progress here back at the 24-yard line, but he dropped him back at the 20, Ethan.
There are some players, Coach, who, as a broadcaster, are just fun to watch. I got a chance to talk with Aiden up at Media Day this summer. Kind of a quiet guy, kind of a mild-mannered guy, but then he's like Superman on the field. Once he takes off that shirt and tie, he's a monster out there, and he's a joy to watch.
He is. Aiden's having fun right now, and that's what it's all about. He's flying around having fun. He's leading the defense. He's sitting right beside Coach Rail, making sure everything's correct on the defensive side. He's helping Jeremy Thompson beside him, make sure he's lined up, doing everything right. And I just have loved the mentorship that Aiden has done for Jeremy. I mean, you would think they're best friends. I don't know if they hang outside of football, but in here in the field house, on the practice field, he's always talking to him, always making sure he understands what's going on. And he's leading him and teaching him because he wants him to be the next Aiden. As Aiden, as JoJo and them, those guys from last year and the years before taught Aiden, what he needs to do and how he needs to play. And, we were able to move some guys around last year, JoJo from the inside backers because of the way Aiden was playing for us last year. And, the things that he's done and bought in, I just never envisioned him to be this type of leader his senior year. Like you said, quiet, mild-mannered kid coming in as a freshman. I don't know if I really hardly even knew his name because he didn't talk much. But, watching his growth, I even sent his mom a message this past week talking about how proud I was of him. And not just being a football player, but just how proud of the young man he's turned into.
Well, and he comes right back on the drive again. Father Ryan trying to get some momentum going, and he makes our defensive play of the game for the second consecutive week.
So they get it to the 19-yard line. It's a 7-yard pickup, 1st and 10 from the Riverdale 19. Dixon in the pocket, looks to throw. Aiden Emmons, the leaping, diving interception, and the senior captain hauls in his second pick of the year from his linebacker spot with 39 seconds to go first half. Emmons snuffs out an Irish drive, and the Warriors take over, leading 21-0.
Another highlight play for Aiden Emmons, this time getting the interception in the red zone.
And, Coach, when you get a guy like Emmons that comes in as a freshman, and you start going, well, where are we going to play this guy? A guy with this type of athletic talent, this type of ability. How do you determine that he's going to be a linebacker and not a running back or something else?
Again, we evaluate everybody and see what's best fit for them. And, Aiden fitted our style of linebacker play here. And at the time, DJ was at running back, and he was coming up. So, he wanted to be on the field to get on the field fast. And, the linebacker spot was the fastest way he could get on the field. But, the play you just showed and he made, that was all credited to film study, to studying the film. He said, you talk about sniffing out that play. That's just from the preparation from the week before. And they did a good job last week preparing. And it's like, you could tell as he lined up in that stance right there, he kind of felt that coming. And he made a great play because of the instinct one, but he knew formation, alignment, down, everything from that play, that what was about to come, and then he just reacted and did exactly what he was coached to do by Coach Rail.
And that interception set you up at the 16-yard line. And I could go ahead and show these highlights in real time that are about to occur. We're going to look at a couple of them right here. It's a fantastic drive, and we'll get your comments on it as we go. It starts with what I think at the end of the season may go down as potentially one of the play of the year type of candidates, and that's on a completion from your quarterback to the freshman, Luke Tritch.
1st and 10 at the Riverdale 16, just 39 seconds to go here, first half. Hampton wants to throw, looks for the big shot, takes it to Tritch. Tritch elevates, Tritch hauls it in at the 50-yard line on the back of the defender, Jack Armour. Luke Tritch. Folks, he's a freshman in his second ever varsity game to the 49-yard line on the completion to Tritch. 1st and 10 from the Father Ryan 49. We're down to 24 seconds to go. First half, Hampton once more. He'll throw it to Reynolds. Reynolds at the 35. Reynolds gets a couple more yards, and then he'll step out of bounds and stop that clock with 17 seconds to go.
If you're old enough to remember it, the thing that came to my mind was David Tyree in the Super Bowl with the Giants, that type of a catch against a helmet. What an amazing level of concentration to elevate in coverage and catch that football.
That was a great play, and as a coach, you always want to point out what you could do better, and we can't celebrate right there. Like you said, there's 16 seconds left. We had 2 timeouts, and they wanted to celebrate the play, and we got to get lined up faster and get ready to go. Now, they were able to keep moving the ball, and they settled down once they realized, what was going on. But we had 2 timeouts in our pocket and didn't even have to use it right there in that drive. And that been my most impressive drive of the season by our offense. Well executed by the up front, well executed by the receivers, well executed by the quarterback. And I was really impressed. And that drive right there is probably the most excited I've been all season, just because I felt like they all were on the same. But that's how they should operate every time we have the ball. And that's just what I expressed to them in meetings. That's what we expect to them every single drive, to play like that. And they were playing with a purpose on that drive, and they wanted to get in the end zone on that drive, and they did, because of their mentality.
1st and 10 from the Father Ryan 33, 17 seconds, 2 timeouts to work with for the quarterback, Hampton. 3 receivers left from the gun. He's in the pocket. He'll throw it towards the corner of the end zone, looking for Tritch. Tritch! Give him 6 as Hampton put it on a dime, and the freshman laid out in single coverage, hauled it in on his fingertips, and Riverdale brings the crowd to life. The Warriors lead 27-0 on a quick strike from Hampton to Luke Tritch. 8 seconds to go, first half. Extra point is pending.
And Luke Tritch with his first career touchdown here as a Riverdale Warrior. 2 big plays in the drive, and this offense is humming.
That was a 3-play drive that covered 84 yards, and they did it in 31 seconds.
And, Coach, to hear you say that's the type of drive you want to see all season long. I'll try to keep up if we go that way that quickly, but it was an impressive drive.
Yeah, that's our expectations. And, I told the guys, I'm proud of them scoring 35, but we should have been 48, 49 nothing. That's what we want. Coach Barnes has totally changed my mentality on the offensive side of the ball. I used to be fine with 10-7 wins, and that's not who I am anymore, what I'm about. I want points. And, if we got a defense that's going to play fast, and if we could play just as fast on offense and get points on the board, that kind of, deflates teams. And we got to keep doing a better job being more consistent on the offensive side of the ball. If you go back and watch that play that Trick scored on, Riley Talley was wide open. Gavin should have threw it to him. But, again, that's quarterback receivers working together. It's Gavin going through progression and learning. But he found another guy that was open and made a play that, it's easy to correct these mistakes on a touchdown pass like that and just go through them and tell them, hey, this should have been your first option right here. But, again, it's his first, second varsity start of his career, so he's going to get better, and the receivers are getting better, and he's getting confident in his receivers. So, it was a great play, great drive.
Great drive, and we don't want to forget the defense in a shutout. Levante's House comes up with a big play later on.
They'll put three receivers wide to the left now of Caden Dixon. Now he'll bring motion left to right to the short side of the field. Shotgun snap, Dixon in the pocket with time. Here's the pressure. He doesn't get rid of it, and he will be dropped inside the 30-yard line. Heavy pressure once again, and it may have been Levante's House. It was getting the sack of Dixon here, and it'll bring up a punt situation.
This pass rush has just been dominating all night long, and that's going to be another great stop for the Warriors. Father Ryan just can't get anything going, and it all starts up front.
Again, a couple of defenders there meeting at the quarterback, and I know that Coach Rail had to be really pleased with the defensive intensity, pick up the first shutout of the year.
Yeah, they did. He was really impressed with what they did and how they flew around. And House is a guy that's just waited his time. He's been behind some really good guys up front for the last few years. And, he's a senior and, he never wavered. And, it's his time to shine and his time to get some reps and play. And he's doing what he's supposed to do and doing what he's coached to do.
Our last two highlights, we'll jump in here and put them in together. Peters on his right hip, play action, finds Tritch across the middle, across the 45, across the 50. There goes the freshman into Irish territory, across the 35, inside the 30. He's strong, he's fast, he's got great hands, and he plays with emotion. Freshman Luke Tritch making an impact in his first two varsity games at Riverdale.
I don't have the exact number, but I'd say he's getting pretty close to 100 yards. That'd be a great milestone for this freshman. What a great play, slashing over the middle of the field, making a catch, and turning it into a big gain afterwards.
Under a minute and a half to go in the third quarter. Three receivers to the right of Hampton. Peters on his right side. Give to Peters. Peters up the middle across the 25-20, 15-10, 5, end zone. Chris Peters on the touchdown carry as Father Ryan defense got bitten by the running game there after giving up the big 40-yard pass completion to Luke Tritch. Chris Peters takes it in from 29 yards out as he found running room behind that offensive line, and Riverdale is in front 34-0 with 66 seconds to play in the third quarter.
And Coach, the running game produced 3 rushing touchdowns. You get 2 from Vaughn, 1 from Peters. I know you're trying to find a good mix there, and it looks like it's coming along.
Yeah, it is. Peters, like talked about last week, a guy would move from receiver to running back, and he's doing a great job. On that play, he needs to do a better job of securing the football, but he ran the ball well, saw the hole and got vertical, and then made a play on the outside and was able to get in the end zone. And, Chris's role is going to increase each week as we get comfortable and he gets comfortable, but I've been impressed with the little bit we put on him at running back and how he's responded.
The game this week, as we turn the page over, backyard brawl, Blackman comes in. Not a whole lot to talk about. Maybe everything that needs to be said about this and between you and your brother on the other side has already been said. But the question I want to ask you, Coach, is as we get set for this big game, what's your earliest memory of football with your brother?
Our dad was a high school coach for 20 years. And so, I would say, being young and just being on the sideline with my dad, me, him, and my dad, just on the sidelines. My dad started out as a junior high coach. He coached, we come from Henry County where it's just one school, and he was a junior high coach and then moved up to coaching varsity at the high school. And so when we were young, I guess 3 or 4, we were out there. They would do bowl games back then, and so I remember being at Grove and watching one of his undefeated teams as they went and played it. They used to do a really big bowl games. They played teams like from Mayfield, Kentucky, and it was always a big game. It was one of our big rivalries from middle school and freshman football. Playing those guys, and I remember him winning what was the Lions Bowl, and having that, just being there and being part of it with my family and everything. And then as we got older, we moved when he got to the high school. We were the ball boys. So me and my brother was always on the sideline with him, and we were the ball boys for his team. And actually, the head coach at Rockville, Coach Counts, his dad was the coach of that staff. His dad was the head coach of that staff. So us three have been on the sidelines together for a long, long time.
As you look at Blackman, they're 2-0 already this season. They've held their opponents to 6 points in each of the first 2 games. The defense is good. They've got some new players. What do you expect from them Friday night? What are you looking at, and what are you going to need to do to be successful against them?
We're going to be able to have to win the game up front. They are very good. I think it's the best team my brother has had as a head coach. I think it's the best team he's ever had as a head coach from his Forest days, Centennial days, to now Blackman days. They're very talented. They got really good skill kids from top to bottom. Their offensive skill, their defensive skill is top notch. They go catch the football. Their quarterback is athletic. He runs around. He scares you every play when he has the ball in his hands, and he does a good job. They did a great job the other night on a fake. Everybody thought the running back had the ball, and the quarterback just walked in the end zone. They're very big up front. They get after you up front. Like you said, they've only given up 6 points uh, to their opponents the last 2 weeks, and they're getting better every week, and they're getting confidence each week, and they're playing together as a team. So, it's going to be a battle. I believe they're just as good, if not better, than Knox Catholic. So we got our hands full this week.
And the home field can play a big advantage, I think, in a game like this. You talk about a rivalry game. You talk about any potential edge. They have very good special teams. The home field could be a difference.
Yeah, I hope so. Our crowds are always big. Our stadium's nice. Mr. Limbaugh does a great job up there and keeping everything going with the flashing lights. But, our student section will be packed. But, again, it's an in-county game, so their stands are going to be packed. I think around the fence line is going to be packed. And everybody will be here to watch this game Friday night because it's one of the top games in Middle Tennessee. And it's two teams that are probably evenly matched, and it's two teams that are very physical. And I think it's going to be a physical game Friday night. It's going to come down to special team plays. How well does each team play on special teams? Are there going to be any special teams mistakes? You got to hold on the football and not have turnovers, and you can't have dumb penalties because of emotions.
As you go into it, how are you health-wise? We talked about LeBron Shelbourne. What's the latest on his status, and are there any other updates on the health side?
Right now it's just LB. LB's out for the year. He's got to have surgery in the next few weeks on his ACL and MCL. So, he's gonna get through that. Our prayers are with him, and as we move on, and it's tough for him. Tough senior. He's come from a tough situation, and he just loves being around the guys and being around the team. He's a total team player. So yeah, his loss has hurt us tremendously. But like you said, our guys, got that mentality of next man up. So they're working hard to improve their game to be just as good as he is. Also, we did lose Otay back in the 707, back in 707 at MTSU. His recovery's not going as fast as we'd like it, so hopefully we can get him back in the next few weeks.
That'd be delightful to get him back as you start this region journey. I mean, region play. It's week 3, and here we are. This is gonna be a fun run.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's going to be a real fun run, and this is what high school games are. High school football all about. I mean, this game Friday night is going to be unbelievable atmosphere. It's going to be electric. We're in, like you just said, we're in week 3, and it's going to be like a playoff type atmosphere Friday night. And, there's a lot on the line Friday night. It's open region. It's playoffs. You start your playoff standings and where you'll be. And, Blackman and Riverdale go back and forth all the time. Who wins this one, who wins that one. And so we know we're going to get their best, and they're going to get our best. And it's going to be two teams with the same type of tough type mentality, attitude going at it Friday.
Well, come out to Tom Nolan Field, Phil Watts Tomahawk Stadium. 7 o'clock is the kick. We'll be on the air at 6:35 on Warrior Media RHS on YouTube for those who cannot make it to the game. You can watch there. My thanks to all of them for getting those great video highlights throughout this. Chris Martin, his team, the students getting that video production going. You can also listen on Aero Sports TN on the mixlr.com website, so you can connect to this game in person, online, video, and listening. Coach, thank you for your time as always. I hope you have a good holiday weekend. Get a little bit of time off, a little time with the family, and we'll be ready to go Friday for Blackman.
Yeah, it seems like we always play my brother on these type of. Last year we played him the week after fall break, so we couldn't hang out over fall break. Now we're playing him on the holiday weekend, so the cousins are a little upset. They don't like they want us to do a better job of scheduling so they can see each other.
I got you. Well, Coach, that's going to do it for this episode of the Coach Will KRIESKY Show. Remember, Warrior fans, be proud, be bold, be brave, and ever loyal. Until our next episode, for head coach Will KRIESKY, I'm Chris Bosen. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.
This is the Coach Will KRIESKY Show, a weekly showcase of highlights, interviews, and insights from Riverdale head football coach Will KRIESKY. This is Riverdale football. All hail.